Hi again, everyone. Welcome to the WKYC High School Football Preview Show as we get you ready for week number 4. I'm Dave DiNatale alongside Tyler Carey here on Zoom. Happy to have you with us. And as we always do to start the show, we announce where we are headed for week number 4 for our game of the week Friday night. And TC, it's back to a place that we enjoy going to. They enjoy having us. And I think we're in for a Suburban League treat on Friday nights.
Oh, absolutely, Dino. It's a place we've been to multiple times, I believe, and always a good team to watch, and the team they're playing good as well. Hudson and Wadsworth, back to Medina County we go. Two teams that always have big aspirations in that Suburban League as far as the conference and state title as well. This is a very crucial matchup for both squads, and I'm really going to be interested to see what happens, especially with some of the news coming out of the Grizzlies locker room this week.
Yeah, talking to head coach Justin Todd the other night, and there are significant injuries that they're dealing with right now. We'll get the report here. I'm going to hear from him later on, as a matter of fact. Justin was telling me that all 4 of his captains have some kind of an injury. So this might be a banged-up Grizzlies team that takes the field on Friday night, coming off of a shootout loss to Nordonia. On the flip side, Hudson is rolling right now on all cylinders. I mean, Jeff Guff has them really playing well, and they're undefeated heading into Friday night's game.
Yeah, Hudson, a team that over the years has been one of those big contenders in Division II, and they went through a bit of a down period, but right now it feels like they are truly back toward the top where they feel they belong. 3 straight wins you mentioned, all by double digits over Nordonia and Brecksville Broadview Heights, 2 very good teams. Barberton not as great, but they still got a very impressive win last Friday night. Up front, their best player, Kevin Toth Jr., offensive tackle recruit, committed to Rutgers. So he's really going to set the tone in the trenches for the Explorers. I got to feel like they're pretty confident heading into this one, knowing that it's going to be a tough game regardless, but with the news, as we said, coming out of Wadsworth that they might not be 100%, Hudson's got to be thinking, all right, this is really an opportunity for us to stake our claim as the class of this conference.
Yeah, class of the league, and, send a message, as we start looking ahead. The playoffs we're more than halfway into this regular season, this abbreviated regular season. So a chance to send a message, a chance to give yourself the right kind of positioning. The state still hasn't seeded us yet here, so we don't know exactly how, when we get to week 7, how things are going to look yet. But a win like this would be huge for the Hudson Explorers. So that's our matchup. Again, we're looking forward to it. 3-0 Hudson at 2-1 Wadsworth. That's where we're going to be. But, TC, we're starting to see now a lot of teams in Greater Cleveland are coming back to action. I think about like St. Ignatius is back playing, Solon is back playing. I think we're starting, and then coming off of some of the action that took place Friday night, I think we're starting to get a clearer picture as to, the haves and the have-nots and where we stand as we, continue here in the month of September.
Absolutely, Dino. I mean, let's start with the game that we went to last week. Riverside and Perry. I think you and I were both very surprised that the Riverside Beavers, not necessarily that they won the game, but that they won in the fashion that they did. 44-14 against a Pirate team that had not lost a regular season game in over 2 years. Jameer Francis was really the key to that. I think the trifecta had a great catch in the opening drive, a pick 6 on the next drive, and then a fumble recovery of the 4-star running back, Jalen Anderson, who was really a non-factor in this game. In fact, Perry did not have an offensive touchdown. So you want to talk about the halves. I think the Riverside Beavers have really made the rest of the region on notice that they are a true force to be reckoned with when it comes postseason time. Elsewhere, you and I were really intrigued by that Hoban-Benedictine matchup, especially after what Hoban did to St. Edward in week 2, beating them 35-0. Well, the Bengals gave the Knights all they could handle. It was a 31-24 victory for Hoban. Benny never led in this game, but they had a couple of chances to tie it up late. It was Daryl Peterson coming up with a big sack on one of the drives for the Knights, and then A.J. Kirk with a pass deflection on the final play of the game. Shane Ham, 2 total touchdowns. Victor Dawson, 129 yards and a touchdown. I think this could be good for Hoban in that they're not going to get too ahead of themselves like, oh, wow, we're the best team in the state, although I still believe that they are. We're just going to blow through everybody. This is kind of that, okay, we still got some work to do. We still got some kinks to iron out before we get to the playoffs. They got their win. Benedictine's a very good team. There's nothing to be ashamed of, but I really got to give credit to the Bengals for making that a ball game. And, of course, credit to Hoban for winning it in the end.
Yeah, and then, the other thing, we're up in Perry Friday night and watching Riverside play as well as they did. Not that far down the road in Geauga County, we're hearing Kenston and Chardon go at it. And I mean, this has been it's been a classic the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitch Hewitt's Hilltoppers went in there and really made a statement. And of course, by coincidence, it's why we love high school football, the way things shape out. That very same Riverside team is going to play that very same Chardon team on Friday night, and what was going to be a lot of fun. But I'm very impressed with what Chardon did. And as I said Friday night, I know Kenston were placing a lot of seniors, a lot of talented players, both sides of the ball. But that's a statement type win for Chardon.
Absolutely. It's still a very good program with the Bombers. And I think we were a little taken aback that wasn't the classic it's been the last couple of years. And when it ends up being a blowout, you're right. The Hilltoppers certainly have made it known that they could be contending for a state title this year, something they haven't done in a number of years. Even though they've been good in recent seasons, you really never viewed them as that, well, they could really dominate when we get to that bracket. I think that Riverside game is going to be very interesting because, as you said, 2 games we saw last week where we didn't necessarily expect that blowout, and we got it. So something's got to give. One of these teams is going to have to fall. I don't know who it will be at this point. I think it's anyone's guess. Just flip a coin and see what happens. You also mentioned being in Lake County. One other game going on in Lake County last week, we mentioned the St. Edward Eagles coming off that absolute curb stomping at the hands of the Hoban Knights. They go into Mentor, a huge game, a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter, and they win the game. They knock off the Cardinals 28-24. Matt Gray gets his first loss as a head coach. They avenged that heartbreaking state quarterfinal loss from a year ago. And you got to think, Dino, much like they did last year, these two teams are going to have to meet again once we reach the postseason.
Yeah, at some point, it's inevitable, right? And it'll probably be right back at Byers Field where it was last year. And, let's lace it up and play again. So, yeah, I would imagine we're not done with that particular rivalry game at all. Looking ahead now as we get into week 4, what are some of the other big games? We mentioned, obviously, Riverside Chardon. What else are you watching for Friday night and this weekend? Actually, because there are some Thursday night games of note this week, too.
That's the thing. We've got a lot of games, not only on Thursday, but on Saturday night this week, Dino. Thursday, what we're really going to be interested in watching is Solon is going to begin its season very late due to some of the COVID-19 restrictions, but they will open up on the road against St. Vincent St. Mary on Thursday night. They will only play 3 regular season games this year, so they're going to have to make them count. We mentioned St. Edward. Well, they've had a brutal schedule. St. Ignatius just got their season started as well last week against Bishop Sycamore. They got a blowout win. Well, now St. Edward and St. Ignatius are going to face off in that great rivalry matchup on Saturday night. Not exactly a lot of room for error for the Wildcats. having just gotten things started. Okay, got a nice win, and you get the Eagles in your second game. Another one I'm going to have my eye on is Perry and Canton McKinley. That game will be at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium on Saturday night. Definitely intrigued by that. Two undefeated teams. The Bulldogs have a lot of Division I recruits on their side of the football. Like we said, a lot of games that could have implications as to playoff seeding and to who has momentum going into the playoffs. And like we said, a lot of rivalries. And in Solon's case, really seeing how they look after such a long layoff and what's going to happen with this even more truncated season than they were probably hoping for.
Yeah, this is you talk about an intriguing weekend. That's what we've got around high school football here in Northeast Ohio. But what is not a mystery is where we're going to be Friday night. Again, we will greet you from Wadsworth for our game of the week. The Grizzlies, 2-1 on the year. Justin Todd and that great program they have. They will take on the undefeated 3-0 Hudson Explorers. We will greet you with the pregame around 6:50, get everything all set up, and then kick off at 7. TC will keep you updated throughout the night on some of those games and scores that you're going to want to know about. And, of course, on the app and on WKYC.com, we've got a running scoreboard throughout the evening. So, partner, we're in the second half of the regular season.
It doesn't seem right to say that, does it? Like we're 3 games in, we're halfway done, and again, it's been different, but we're grateful to have high school football here. The champion, whoever wins it this year, is going to be unique, but I still feel it's going to be very legitimate. In some ways, it's going to be even harder to win it this time around. I'm excited for this weekend's whole slate of action. Notably excited for our game. It's going to be interesting to watch how Wadsworth can cope with being banged up a little bit, if they can slow down Hudson after really not being able to slow down their opponent last week. Again, you would think the Explorers have a bit of an edge, but we know Wadsworth's a great program, and they're going to be up for the challenge.
Yeah. And despite the limited numbers of fans, it's still home cooking, and that's a tough place.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. We'll greet you from Medina County on Friday night, folks. Make sure you join us for that. For Tyler Carey, I'm Dave DiNatale. Thanks for watching our high school football preview show right here on Facebook.